So here's a little video showing you how to install Twine and how to start using it as well. So you're just going to Google Twine if you're not going to click on the link, and what you're looking for is twinery.org, an open source tool for telling interactive non-linear stories. So we're going to click on that link. Now we need to download it, and the download is up here in the right. So if you've got a Windows machine, you're going to download here. If you've got an Apple or a Mac, you're going to download here. So I'm going to download Windows, because that's what I've got. It's not a massive file. You're looking about 85, 86 meg. So it's going to take a little while. So once you've finished downloading it, you're going to double click on the exe file, or if it's a Windows machine, you're going to double click on your DMG file. Now, for some reason, the exe file in Twine, the Windows protection software doesn't really like it. But this one, you're not going to click Don't Run, you're going to click More Information. It might not look exactly the same as this, but you're trying to get to something that allows you to run the app anyways. So, I'm going to install it on the computer. I'll just let it pick where it installs. It's not a very big file, so it shouldn't really matter where you install it. Most of you will only have one hard drive anyways. And when you're finished, you're just going to click Finish. If you want to use it straight away, tick it so that it opens Twine, which I do because I want to show you guys. So this is essentially what it looks like when it's installed. So if you want, you can go through and do the tutorial. There's a guide here, and I recommend you do the guide. I'm going to show you a very, very basic setup so that you can kind of jump straight into it if you want to. Your work's automatically saved, so you don't have to worry about anything like that. And essentially, you're ready to start. Now, when you first start, you've obviously got 0 stories because you haven't started any. What this software actually does is it creates choose your own adventures. So over here, we're going to click story, and we're going to start our first one. So my first story is going to be called A Lively Discussion. I'm going to click add, and our story's here. Now what you're seeing here, this is where, think of it as the kind of graphical interface where you're going to map out your story. So let's make that a bit bigger so what we can see what we're doing. So what I want you to think about, this little box square here is essentially one page of your story. So we can just double click, open up, and we can start writing our story. So if we wanted to, we could write anything we want. And I'm going to speed up the time here as I quickly write something. Now, here is where I want to make the first decision, or I want the reader to make their first decision. So here I'm going to decide whatever I put in here, I'm going to put within 2 square brackets. And my first option is going to be young man, and my second option is going to be young lady. Now, this means that when people are reading this story, they'll have the choice to click on man or lady, which essentially is assigning which path of the story they're going to take in terms of is their character going to be a male or a female character, the character that they're going to play while they're reading this story. So let's have a look at what that actually looks like. So I'm done now. I can close this. We can choose a title for this passage if you want. You don't have to though. And you don't have to save, you just have to close it. So here you can see everything I wrote now is on that first page. But what you can also see is now we have 2 other options if they've chosen man or lady. So let me just show you what that actually looks like. So anytime you press play, it's going to open it in the HTML browser, just the browser that you use. And already I can see an issue here because I haven't left actually a space and it doesn't really look all that crash hot. So you know what? I'm going to close that. Okay. So now let's play through this. Hello, said the young man behind the desk, barely looking up at you. Hello, you reply. He finally puts down his pen, shuffles his papers, lets out a deep sigh and turns his face towards you, making eye contact for the first time. Typos. For the first time since you stepped into the cramped office. What can I do for you, young man? What can I do for you, young lady? So here you're making the reader choose for the first time. Whatever they click on is where the story is going to go. So we can close that now. We're going to reopen our Twine. And now we can quickly fix the typos that we noticed for the first time. And now, essentially, I think the story can say exactly the same here, but it just means that we're changing pronouns whenever someone refers to the character. So let's edit in here. And here, you're just going to reply, what can you do for you? So I'll do some more writing here and I'll speed this up while I'm doing it. Okay, so now we're up to the next bit where I want them to make another decision. So what is the reason that you're leaving the colony? So once again, whatever we put here has to be within the 2 square brackets. So you can see up the top, we've already got a heading for this one because it is the option that they've chosen. So let's close this and you can see now we've got another 2 options. And things are going to start getting messy because these are too close together. So I'm going to actually move this. I'm going to move this a fair way away. And in fact, I don't even need to see the arrows. I can put it nice and close. And so now you can see we can start at the beginning and we can play this. And you see you can keep going through. And that's essentially it. When you're done, you can test it or you can play it. You can see here I've got a lively discussion, and when you're done, you can publish your file. It's just going to save it as a HTML file. So make sure you know or you remember where you save it. So I'm just going to pop it on my desktop for the time being, and I'm going to hit save. And let me drag that on so that you can see. And as you can see, my default browser is Chrome, so there's a little Chrome icon. And if I click on this, it's just going to open that now in my Chrome file. So the trick with these Twine is to really just have a good play with it. It's not too hard to use. It gets tricky once you start trying to link the squares back on each other. So you might have, it goes down a whole path here and it actually gets back to a story square that was very similar if they'd gone down a different path over here. So have a play around with it. It's a lot of fun. Google how to use it if you get stuck or if you want to link up stories, that sort of stuff. And this is what we're going to be using as our extension task now. So I want you to really spend a lot of time on it. I don't want it to be a quick short story. I'd like you to really have a lot of options. I'd like to play this multiple times, whatever you submit, and not get the same outcome every time. So really, when you finish this, I'd like just to see, you know, maybe 50 to 100 of these pages, and depending on how long those pages are, so that everyone who plays it can have a different time. And you don't only have to have two options. I could have come back here and I can edit again. And I could edit a third option in here if I want to create some gender neutral kind of option. And so then when we finish here, we'll see it's just created that third option. So now when we hit play, there's actually three options there for you. We've got young man, young woman, and one which is an unidentified gender. So you can really play with it. It doesn't just have to be dialogue. This is the way I kind of chose. Decided I'd make this one around a conversation, and so everything that you got to just choose what your kind of character said. But it doesn't have to be that. It can be actions as well. Do you want to go through the left door or the right door? Would you like to take the car or the train? It's the possibilities are limitless for you in the decisions that you make your reader choose. So have a lot of fun with it. And when you're finished, save it as that HTML file, and then let me know, and I'll create somewhere for us to submit them in Microsoft Teams.